Welcome back to another video. Today, I'll be ranking every NFL QB that's in the playoffs. First up, we'll start from the bottom. Russell Wilson, I think out of these three tiers, A, S, A, B, C, or D, right now he's probably the worst quarterback in the playoffs. I know he's had success in the playoffs like a while ago, but right now he's probably a D because recently he hasn't played great. He regressed a little bit. So I think he's in the D tier for NFL QBs as of right now. Maybe he'll play better because it's the playoffs, but I have Russ in D tier. And now Matthew Stafford, I think he's in A tier because he won a Super Bowl just 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, starting this playoffs. He made the playoffs the last 2 years and played well. So I think he's an A tier quarterback because every time he enters the playoffs, he's great. And as of late in the regular season, he's playing good. So I think he's better than Russ by a lot, obviously, and I think he's an A tier. Now CJ Stroud, I think he's in B tier because he's young. Last season, he had a good playoff game. He had an okay playoff game. So he's been better in the playoffs. He's clutch, but I think he's in the B tier. He's not with the best of them. He's like in the middle of the great to bad. None of these QBs are bad because they're in the playoffs, but I'm rating this based off the other QBs. Or else all of them would be in like Russ would be in D, but they have to go somewhere. Now, Jordan Love, he played great in last year's playoffs. I'm thinking he's like the end of A. He's at the back of A tier, and CJ's at the top of B tier because they're around the same level. I just think last season, Jordan Love played better than CJ in the playoffs. He had better stats with a worse team around him. So I think Jordan Love right now is a better playoff quarterback slash actual quarterback. This is not just all time playoffs, obviously, and this is what they did in the regular season. Because Jaden Daniels won't be in D tier, even though he's never played a snap in the playoffs. Now Justin Herbert, like I said, he has never played well in the playoffs, but it's Justin Herbert. He played A plus in that one game he played in the first half, and like bad in the second half. So I'll put him at the back of A. I just think he's all around a better quarterback. Actually, I'll put him at the top of B. He's the top of B quarterback because he's not made the playoffs, but in the regular season he was good, and in the playoffs, Justin Herbert is probably the best quarterback right now. He'd be higher than Matthew Stafford, but because it's not just regular season, it's playoffs too. Playoffs are weighed more heavily because we're in the playoffs. Obviously, he's in B tier. It's this list isn't exactly what you did in the playoffs or what you did in the regular season this season. It's a combination. So Jalen Hurts, he's at the back of B tier. He's in the playoffs. He had one good game. The other two games were blowouts. He didn't have to do much. Then he got killed in the others. I think kind of the regular season and the playoffs, he's B. He's the end of B tier. He's not the best QB, and he's probably the second worst QB in the NFC. And this list can change here or there. So Sam Donald, he's in C tier. We never see him in the playoffs. This season, he looked good until the Lions game, where he was iffy. He's had a lot of turnovers this season. He's thrown a lot of touchdowns, and since Sam Donald in the Lions game followed under pressure in an actual playoff setting, which that is the most meaningful game. Like Jared Goff had two picks, but it's Jared Goff. We've seen him make a Super Bowl. So I think Sam Donald is at C because he just doesn't have that it factor like other QBs have, and we haven't seen him in the playoffs ever because how bad he was on the Jets. Now we have Bo Nix. I'll put him behind Sam Donald. we've never seen Bo Nix play. I think he's better than Russ. I know you might say, how could you say that? We've seen Russ in the playoffs. We've seen him make a Super Bowl. Bo Nix is a rookie. So maybe you might say he should be at the end of D tier. But like I said, this regular season he's been better than Russ. Maybe not by a lot. So they're right neck to neck with each other. But I think he still should be higher than Russ. I think he'll have a better playoff game than Russ. I think the Steelers can still beat the Ravens because of how good the Steelers defense is. But they Russ is the worst QB in the playoffs, I think, so he's at D by himself. Now Jared Goff, he's at A. He's right there next to Matthew Stafford. Him and Matthew Stafford been to Super Bowls. Only 3 quarterbacks on this list have been to a Super Bowl in the playoffs, and only 3. So, oh, 4. I forgot Jalen Hurts. And he's been to 2 Super Bowls. Jared Goff hasn't won any. Matthew Stafford won one. So I think Jared Goff elevates his game in the playoffs, and he's a good playoff performer. So that's why he's at A, right in front of Jordan Love, but behind Matthew Stafford. Okay, now Jaden Daniels. I'm gonna put him at C above Sam Darnold because we've seen these 3 quarterbacks we think are going to be better than Russ in the playoffs because they play better in the regular season. These 3 quarterbacks have never made the playoffs once in their career. None of them. So we don't have any idea how they play in the playoffs. Russ, we have seen, but it was a while ago. 2020, he made the playoffs. He was fine. So if he brings that bus back, I'm wrong. He should be in B tier. But I think he regressed. So taking into account the regular season too, he's at D. Bo Nix is second worst, then Sam, then Jaden, because Jaden had a better regular season than Sam. I think as a prospect, he's better than Bo Nix. Even though they had similar regular seasons, I just think Jaden Daniels has more talent and will play better than Bo Nix and Sam Donald. Now for Josh Allen. Josh Allen's in S tier because it's Josh Allen. His playoff numbers are insane. His regular season numbers are insane. So I think he's an S tier and a top tier quarterback when it comes to the playoffs and when it comes to regular season. So putting that in count, if you ask me who I would want on my playoff team, Josh Allen would be 2 by far. Now Baker Mayfield, I would put him right in front of Jalen Hurts. He's made the playoffs a few times, but he's won a playoff game. He's played fine in the playoffs, but putting into account everything, his playoff history, under the Browns, he's had talent. I just think he's at B. I think he's better than Hurts, but I don't know how much better he is than Hurts. So I have him right in front of Hurts, but not better than CJ and Justin because Baker hasn't shown that much in the playoffs, but he has played in the playoffs, so I think he's at B tier. A lot of B tiers. These two will not be B tier. Lamar Jackson. This is an example of where playoffs weigh a factor, but regular season does, which puts someone down further than you think. Lamar is still in A tier, obviously, but he's bottom of A tier. His regular season is so good, where his playoffs, it bumps it up to an A, but he probably was above Jordan Love because his regular season was that good where you expect him to be able to do something in the playoffs. You expect him to play better than Jordan Love in the playoffs. Jared Goff, I've seen him have good success in the playoffs. Yeah, I've seen him go to a Super Bowl, and I've seen him go to Super Bowls with 2 different teams. I know Jalen Hurts also went to a Super Bowl. I just haven't seen it as consistently since then. Jared Goff went to an NFC Championship game, a Super Bowl, another Super Bowl. He's consistently won in the playoffs. Lamar has not. He's been to one championship game, like Jalen Hurts. So, but he's better in the regular season. Like Jared Goff had a much better regular season than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts' regular seasons play a part in a playoff. So that's why Jared Goff is right in front of Lamar Jackson and then Jordan Love because he's young. We haven't seen much. Mahomes top of S tier. He has some of the greatest NFL playoff stats of all time. Some of the greatest, not the greatest, but he will eventually become the greatest postseason quarterback of all time when he plays for long. His touchdowns, like he's so good in the playoffs. He's obviously the best playoff quarterback. If you think otherwise, you're just wrong because the playoffs, you're incorrect. In the playoffs, he always steps up his game. Last season, he did. In the regular season, he wasn't as good, but this is a playoff tier list. This isn't a regular season tier list, and the regular season does play a factor, like I said. But his regular season wasn't so bad where it takes him in the playoffs, which we've seen literally last year. Josh Allen was good in the playoffs, but he isn't as good as Mahomes, and I don't think he's as good as a QB as Mahomes. This takes a lot of factors into play because it's a playoff ranking. So I have Mahomes in S tier. Thank you for watching. That's my NFL QB tier list. Hope you enjoyed. Goodbye. Like, subscribe, and comment if you agree with if you agree with the tier list. Thank you for watching and have a good day.